I've had someone threaten to smack me, punch me. They hit me with a cart.
Welcome to Josh's Cemetery Chats. How's it going out there? So, this is Season 3, Episode 2 of Josh's Cemetery Chats. And if you missed the first episode, first of all, go back and watch that. But second of all, we've got my wife Bunny here. That is the new co-host, taking over for Fred Skellington. She was the temporary co-host last year, towards the end of the year. And we had a lot of fun chatting and covering different topics. We've got a lot of topics like that we're going to be covering going into the fall. But for this video in particular, we're actually going to be talking about something that has been bothering me, and I need to get it off my chest. Part of the reason I wanted to come back and do these cemetery chats again, one, I've been missing them. It's a lot of fun to sit around and do these chats in the cemetery, especially on days like today where the weather's not bad. I mean, there's rain coming, but like it's not hot. we're slowly creeping towards the fall with that beautiful weather.
Oh yeah.
I cannot wait.
It feels good out today.
I know, it's amazing today. Nice breeze, temperature's not too bad, it's not too muggy. That's going to change coming up very soon, but hopefully we won't have to deal with too much of that filming news. But I wanted to mention first, as I get into this, because I talked about this at the end of the last video, I released a book earlier this year. So this is the journal, and I believe I had talked about it briefly last year, maybe in a couple of videos, but I was still writing it at that point. So it actually officially came out March 1st. There is the paperback version like this. I've also got some hardcovers on Amazon. I'll link all of that down in the description below. If you go to my website, you can actually buy a signed edition of the hardcover, which that's something if you like to have signed editions of things like that. So it is an awesome book. It is a mystery novel. It is I'm extremely proud of it being my first one. I've got a second book that's going to be coming out this fall, and I haven't revealed the cover on that. On October 1st it's going to be coming out, and it's a compilation of all the short horror stories that I've been writing for my main channel. So I'll link the main channel up here if I can. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, but I'll try to link the main channel. And so you can go check that out. There's short horror stories over there. There's live streams. There's a podcast that I started. So there's all of that stuff going on, and it's a lot of fun. So if you want more, if you like the cemetery chats, but you for some reason want more of me, you can go over there to the main channel. I'm not going to push it. I'm assuming people are here for you, not me.
Please.
So today's episode, I wanted to talk a little bit about companies and how companies treat people, because for me, I've started a company with a friend of mine recently. We're still getting it off the ground, and we're building it up, and it's something we've really talked about because we're very passionate about the fact that companies should treat employees right. And something that I have found, so I got laid off almost a year and a half ago now. It's been a while, from the company that I was working at, which the company wasn't bad, but I found out very quickly, and a lot of other people have found it very quickly in the past year and a half since then, that the companies just lay people off left and right. You know, whenever the company decides that, hey, we think things aren't going to be going great, or like the most recent round of layoffs, honestly, is because they overhired during the pandemic. So when COVID hit and everything shut down, a lot of these companies that were doing remote stuff, they started hiring people like crazy. And they're finding out now that, oh, we overestimated what was going to happen. We didn't realize this was a temporary thing going on. So they started laying those people off because they've hired too many. And that's just in like tech and that's more white collar jobs and offices. But realistically, blue collar jobs and more service industry jobs and that kind of stuff, they got hit hard too. And the companies have really been taking advantage of workers, and it's something that's really bothered me. You've got firsthand experience of it. Our oldest daughter our two daughters actually both have firsthand experience working in this industry. I personally have. So my kind of story from this industry in recent weeks, I was looking at. I had a dream of going to work for Spirit Halloween for the fall, because I love Halloween. If there's anything that you know about me, it should be that I love Halloween. And I was like, this is the perfect opportunity. I go work there, make a little bit of extra cash on the side, and have fun working at a place that I thought would be a really cool place to work at. So I put in an application in. And I put the application in the first week or so of July. I think it was about that time.
Yeah.
And the guy messaged me after I put in the application and said, hey, if you're interested in the job, or no, the application I put in June, actually. He messaged me the first week of July. He said, hey, I'd like to call you next week to schedule an interview if you're still interested. Absolutely. Well, that next week I wound up in the hospital. And I was there for 3 days. The next couple of weeks were crazy. I was busy. I was healing up. I got a spider bite on my leg, so I was healing up from all of that. And so he never called me back. So I texted him a couple more times because that's how I've been communicating, was by text. And finally he responded. He's like, oh yeah, if you're still interested, you can go to the store and you can interview today if you want. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go interview. So I go down there expecting a sit-down interview, which, I mean, I think you've had sit-down interviews every time you've applied for places, right?
Briefly, but they just ask a couple questions like, oh, you're hired.
Right. Well,
so it's not like it should be.
Right. They don't expect people to stick around, I think, for a lot of
Probably.
them. But this wasn't even that intensive. It was literally, I walk in, I tell them I'm there to see the manager, I give them her name, and they go back and they get her, she comes up, and I didn't even give her my name. I just told her I put an application, I talked to this guy, he said to come down. She's like, okay, well, can you start today? We're setting up the store. And I'm like, no, I can't start today. Like, I'm used to a professional atmosphere where you go through a couple of interview rounds. If they decide to offer you a job, then you have to accept the job, and then you have to put in your 2 weeks notice to your employer, that kind of stuff. So like, no, I can't start today. I can start next week. And she's like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and mark you in the system as hired. What's your name? And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is weird. So I think
they were behind. That's why.
Well, that's probably they were desperate for people. So I give her my name, and she goes in and she says she marks me as hired. And I get an email saying that I'm hired. I'm like, okay, cool. And I asked her about the portal that they have, because they're set up through a third-party portal that I think a lot of companies are using now. And so I was like, how do I get logged back into this? Because I didn't set up a login. I couldn't figure it out. She's like, oh yeah, you just put in your phone number, you'll be fine. Like, okay. So I go home, try to log in with my phone number. It gives me a brand new portal with nothing in it. So I don't have the paperwork I'm supposed to have. I even had the email saying, go to this link, sign in, and you'll have your paperwork. Didn't have it. So I tried my email address. The email they sent the email to. And there was still nothing. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. So I text the guy. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to get logged into the portal. I'm trying to fill out the paperwork. Help me out here. And he ghosts me. I couldn't get a hold of anybody. The store opened like the following week or the week after. And I was like, okay, fine. My whole take on it was, if you're going to treat the hiring process like this, how do I know I'm going to get paid? You know, what can I expect?
Right.
And I think that's really the case in the service industry now. They're treating people like crap. They don't understand. Companies don't understand that how you treat your first line employees, the people that interact with the public on a daily basis, or the people that stock the shelves, the people that do the hard work. Those are the people that keep your company running. And I've seen it with a lot of companies that in the past couple of years, especially since COVID, it's been a mess with these companies. And they'll turn around and they'll say, well, people don't want to work. You know, we can't get employees. There's plenty of people applying for these jobs. There's plenty of the number of people looking for jobs is insane compared to the number of jobs that are actually available, and the turnover rate at these companies. Oh my God. And I don't care if it's McDonald's, it's Taco Bell. I've seen it with Taco Bell specifically because they have a couple of people working right now.
Oh, it's crazy when we go in there trying to get food. Yeah,
they've had the lobby shut down on multiple occasions. They've had, my daughter put an application in, and she was trying to go into the lobby to talk to the hiring manager to be like, hey, did you get my application? And the lobby was closed. So she calls, and the manager picks up the phone and says, well, there's only 3 of us here during the lunch rush, so could you call back in a couple of hours? And she's like, okay. So she called back after a couple of hours. Somebody else picks up the phone and says, well, the manager's busy right now. Let me take your name and number and they'll call you back. They haven't called her back yet. They might call her back still, but they haven't called her back yet. And
well, it's like the McDonald's thing. They want her to fill out receipts when she's not supposed to.
Right. The local, she works at McDonald's right now, and the local McDonald's has had her filling out receipts. Basically, when you get a receipt, when you go through the drive-thru at McDonald's, for instance, if they give you your receipt, if you don't want your receipt, they don't give you a receipt. but they still print one off, and they're supposed to just throw it away. But what they're doing instead is having the associates call in or go online and fill out this survey saying that they got great service, and then they give them free food to say thank you. Now, they had her doing this. The manager was telling her to. She didn't know it was wrong. And when I pointed out, hey, you shouldn't be doing this, this isn't the right thing to do, she stopped doing it. But they're still trying to get her to do it. She even filed stuff, went as far as to try to, like, talk to somebody up the chain, and nobody cares. It's fraud that they're perpetrating at this point, and it's something that companies are getting worse and worse about, and especially because, like, we're in a small town. And in that small town, when you have managers that are running these places, whether it's Wal-Mart, McDonald's, Taco Bell, wherever it's at, you have managers in charge of these places that feel like they're big and bad, they're on top of the world. I'm a manager. Like, no, you're not on top of the world.
Well, and then you got to it gets worse with the customers on top of it.
And that's the worst part is the customers start acting like people in general have gotten ruder, angrier. They treat each other like crap in the past few years, especially.
I know when I worked, the vendors told me, he said, I feel sorry for you because the people that shop here are the most rudest, vile people I've ever met.
Right.
And he's right, because they are, I've had someone threaten to smack me, punch me. They hit me with carts.
Yeah, see,
it's crazy.
It's insane, If people could just take a step back. First of all, as a customer, you are pathetic. I've said this before, and I'll say it. I will say it until the day I die. You are a pathetic human being if you treat somebody in the service industry like shit. I don't care what service you think you're getting. Don't treat people like shit. And I will say that. That is my stance. And I don't care. If you don't like it, if you're sitting out there saying, I can't believe you'd say that, I don't want you on my channel, all right? I don't want people like that treat other people like shit. I don't need them, okay? That's just not something I'm about. I am all for be kind. Treat other people with respect. Be a good person. Those are the things that you need to do as a human being. If we do that more often, if we treat each other with respect and we're good to each other more often, we don't wind up in these situations where you have bad customer service. Because why do you think that person's upset? They're having a bad day because everybody coming through is treating them like shit. They're working for essentially what's minimum wage. They're not making that much money. They can't pay the bills. They're struggling with life just like everybody else. And then on top of it, they have to deal with you coming through the line and giving them a dirty eye or talking shit to them or looking down on them, making them cry. Like they've had customers at McDonald's that have made the children, there are 16, 17, 15-year-old kids there that customers come in and lose their shit on these customers or lose it on the employees to the point where employees are crying. They're mentally broken because some 40-year-old, 45-year-old woman comes walking in saying, "Oh, my fries aren't right." Like, screw you, all right? Like, I don't like it when my order's wrong either. But I will be damned if I ever go in and treat the employees like that. Like, that's not okay. Ever. And it happens, and it doesn't matter. Look at retail. Whether it's the stores in the mall or a place like Walmart. I wouldn't say Kmart, but Kmart's not around anymore, I don't think.
No.
I'm sure Menards is probably the same way. People come in and they treat employees like crap. And then and these employees then are being turned around and being treated like crap by the employers because the employers see them as a dime a dozen. Oh, we can replace you in a heartbeat. It doesn't matter.
Well, it's like Old Navy, you have to sell credit cards.
Yeah.
And if you don't sell enough credit cards, then you get in trouble. And then the customers yell at you because you are trying to do your job.
Exactly.
It's really bad.
It's a bad cycle of instances. And when you have the employers that will come in and they'll say, well, and I don't understand that thought process either, because if I'm an employer, which I'm hoping soon I'll be an official employer, but like I have my own company. If I'm an employer, I want to keep the people around. I don't care if they're the lowest level of the organization or the highest level of the organization. I want to keep them there because honestly, it costs more to hire somebody, to go through the process of interviewing the person, the background checks, all the stuff that you have to do to hire somebody, than it does to just retain them. and treat them right and treat them with respect. You know, give people good benefits. These companies, the last company I worked for was based in Europe, and because of that, they offered some really great benefits in the U.S., even though they didn't have to by law, because European law says that they have to offer all of these great things. So they offer at least some of that here. Companies in the United States, they don't give a shit. They look at it from, okay, what's the bare minimum we have to offer our employees? Okay, let's offer the bare minimum, as opposed to giving people paid time off, sick pay, leave for different, paternity leave is something that very few companies offer in the United States.
Don't even get me started on paid vacation.
Paid vacation is a big one because they make you accrue it, and with a lot of these companies, you're lucky if you're accruing a day or 7 days a year. You know,
even if you have it, sometimes you just can't take it because they just won't give it to you.
Right.
I mean, like 6 months out of a year where I work, it's hard to get vacation because they don't want to give it to you.
Right. And that's the thing, is vacation, it's a benefit.
And then you have to use PPTO, and when you run out of that, you're screwed.
Right. So
basically.
You wind up in a position where you can't take any time off.
I got a half a point because I need to take time to go get my husband when he was bit by a spider from the hospital.
Yeah. I was so mad when they told, like...
Over 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't take the 7 minutes off that I had because I missed it by 7 minutes. No.
Yeah.
So they get half point me. I said if that was the case, then I just would have took the whole day.
Yeah, see that, and that's the thing, is they treat people like this, and then they wonder why they have a high turnover. Like, I'm sorry, you don't get to have it both ways. You don't get to treat people like shit and then expect them to not quit, or they get fired because they're under so much pressure. Like, as an employer, treat people with respect. Vacation should never get denied. Never. Now, if you need to coordinate, because I understand there are situations where, you know, you can't have an entire team off, for instance. You know, you can't have everybody off the same day because you still need to do stuff. So in those situations, you know, you got to do either a first come or a lottery. But other than those situations, vacation should never be denied. You should not be putting in for a random day in the middle of nowhere and having the manager say, "Oh no, we need coverage." Okay, you need coverage. You bring somebody else in for that day. I'm letting you know a month, 2 months, 3 months ahead of time that I'm not going to be here this day. Plenty of time for you to plan with the schedule. And it pisses me off. I'm going to be honest. The way companies treat employees, it makes me so mad. I could talk about it for days and days and days because it's absolutely ridiculous. Between customers, the way the customers act, and the way the employers act, I am surprised that we have anybody working in the service industry at all. And honestly, in the next 5 to 10 years, I'll be surprised if we have very many people working in the industry anywhere because of AI taking over. But that's another video. But, I mean, you go into places like Walmart, self-checkouts have taken over. There are still checkouts, and you still have cashiers. And that's only because Walmart hasn't figured out a way to completely eliminate cashiers yet.
I think I overheard not too long ago that they're getting rid of the self-checkout because too many people are stealing.
Well, that could be too. I mean, that's the thing. But people are stealing from Walmart because Walmart doesn't take any measures to stop them, honestly. Like, it's insane. There will be a way. They will find a way, because there are other stores that have self-checkouts that do perfectly fine and don't deal with the theft of Walmart. You know, people are stealing from Walmart because it's Walmart. But, like, they will find a way to eliminate most of that stuff. If they can find a way to eliminate people stocking shelves, by God, they'll do it. Amazon's done that in their warehouses. Not stocking, but picking. You know, if you look at an Amazon warehouse, when you place an order on Amazon, 9 times out of 10, when it gets to the warehouse, they're going through with a robot that's picking the stuff off the shelves and just bringing them up to somebody to pack into a box to ship out. Like, that's just the way it is. And if places like Walmart, I don't know if Giant Eagle is a national chain or not, but like Giant Eagle, Kroger's, there's other food stores out there that I'm not familiar with. I'm from the Midwest. I don't know what to tell you. But like, you've got all these places out there. They are going to find ways to eliminate employees because they don't want to pay them. And it's because directly executives are greedy. shareholders are greedy. You know, if you're a company, the inflation, everybody talks about inflation and stuff like that, and I don't want to get too far into that, but like the executives, the people that run these places, the shareholders, the big investors, they like big numbers. They like to see numbers go up. So every year, if the year-over-year numbers aren't bigger than the prior year's numbers, well, you're looked at as a failure of a company. And the shareholders will be calling for the heads of the executive team. The biggest way right now to try and figure out how to reduce costs, well, let's get rid of employees. We need to cut some of the overhead. Let's cut benefits. It's ridiculous, and it's not sustainable. We cannot keep doing this. You know, factory work used to be the big thing in the United States, and companies treated people well. They took care of them. People stayed with the companies long term. But executives said, and people at the top said, well, we need to make more money, so we're going to go ahead and ship these overseas. And so this big group of factories and all that shipped into other countries where they can pay people pennies on the dollar and make a shit ton more profits. After that happened, we moved into a service economy. The way we're running the service economy is not sustainable. It's not going to last. And in the next 5 to 10 years, I feel like, I honestly think it's going to fall apart.
Oh, I remember the factory thing going overseas because my mom used to work in one.
Yeah.
And she lost her job and things went crazy.
Yeah, it's all because they're treating people like shit overseas, but they can get away with it because the laws in different countries, they're different laws, and they say, oh well, I can take advantage of my employees even more in this economy, so I'm going to go to this country. Like, it's insane, the lack of empathy, the lack of caring by these executives, by these people at the top, and that's where it starts. If your employees at the bottom level are being treated like shit, it starts at the top. It starts with the CEO, it starts with the executive board, it starts with all of those people. And if you're one of those people, you need to take a long, hard look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I doing the right thing for people? Because at the end of the day, money doesn't mean shit. People are what matters. So
I think you got a little bit
I gotta climb down off of my gotta climb down off of my soapbox there. I get passionate about this.
You're gonna have to start bleeping all the cuss words.
If I get too crazy, I will have to start bleeping. YouTube's got a policy. Most words are okay. There are certain words that are very hardcore banned, which you can drop the F-bomb occasionally, that kind of stuff.
But you're gonna have to bleep all the shit words.
No, they're fine. Words like shit are fine. You can say that pretty much throughout the whole video. They actually have a thing listed that tells you what you can and cannot say.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, it's insane. But, I mean, hey, whatever. I'm not that worried about it. It's not like I'm monetized. They can't demonetize me. I mean, maybe in the future if I ever get there, but like, they can't demonetize this video. It's not monetized to begin with. Can't take away something I don't have. But, even though I'm not monetized, if you would like to help out, if you enjoyed this video, if you've gotten to this point in the video and you haven't hit the like button, first of all, hit the like button because you've made it this far into the video. Why not? Ding. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed because, again, you've made it this far into the video.
Ding.
And if you've been around for a while and you like what I do and you like, maybe you're over from the main channel and you enjoy the stuff on the main channel, you enjoy this stuff and you're really liking the content and you want to help me to continue to make content like this, you can join the Patreon. The patrons, put the names in the middle here. I don't know how well that'll work. I haven't edited these videos yet, but we're trying. But we'll put the patron names in the middle here. You can join the Patreon for $3 a month. There's things like postcards I send out once a month. The patrons, I got to put a vote up for postcards actually here soon because it's the middle of the month. Patrons vote on the postcards, and then the postcards go out at the beginning of every month that were voted on the prior month. So there's postcards that go out every month. There is access to written versions of stories from the main channel. There is, at the highest tier, I actually give away copies of my book. You know, you get a free copy of the book, or of different books, like, as they release. So, like, there's all of those kind of things. There's behind-the-scenes stuff. There's early access. There's so much stuff over on the Patreon.
I'm just excited for your new book to come out.
I am, too. October 1st is the new book that's going to be coming out. So keep an eye out for that. It'll be more on that later. I'm working on the cover. The cover reveal is going to be coming out probably on Facebook first. It's already on Patreon. I already shared with patrons at least the first version of it. Patrons will be the first ones to see that, and then Facebook and then YouTube and different channels. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, that's all I've got. Do you have anything else? Anything you didn't say that you...
No, I don't think so.
She doesn't talk as much as I talk, but she does talk more than Fred. So that is a benefit.
And I'm not boned.
And you're not made of just bones. So, but that's all we got for now. We want to thank you for watching. I need to get better at saying that.
I know.
I'm so used to being by myself on these. Fred doesn't count, so I'll get used to it. We'll get better as we go. But we want to thank you all for watching. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next one.